Life Audio.
Today I'll talk about that. John ponders neural implants and whether he'd want to control devices with his mind. Meanwhile, I tell you about the guy who saved the entire world from annihilation by not doing his job, and share the absolute worst inspiration Bible verse if you're a wrestler. Plus a conversation about the broken two-party system and the importance of seeing the humanity in people with whom you disagree. Today's episode is not sponsored by Benadryl. You may still have allergies, but you'll be too drowsy to tell. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Talk About That. I'm John, here with my buddy, Johnny.
Say welcome back like we've been...
Yeah, well, maybe they're listening back to back.
Oh.
Or they're going through the archives. If they wanted to go through archives, how would they even do such a thing? I can't even imagine.
There's a website called talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
Let's just say google.com.
Yeah, and then you search for us there. No, talkaboutthatpodcast.com. And over 300 archived episodes.
Wow.
Which is a lot of...
What were we thinking?
It's a lot of talking.
Yeah, we've talked a lot. I mean, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I think it's been... I will say this has not been false advertisement.
Everybody's been very patient, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, the people who keep listening, man. What does it say more about us or more about them?
I don't know.
You know?
It's not good on either count.
No.
There used to be a thing when you would do something, and then your mom would say, like, don't encourage him.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. They've encouraged us.
Yeah. We pretty much espouse encouragement here as a thing to do, but when you're doing it towards us, it just feels weird, you know?
We've been given too much courage.
Yeah.
We need to be discouraged.
Yeah. It's true. Yes, life has been really easy for both of us.
I've tried to discourage you, and it doesn't work. You're a very buoyant personality. You're like, it'll get better. And I'm like, no.
I don't think I'm that personality at all. I just think, no, you know, it's funny.
Compared to me, I just think it's like, yeah.
I have shame for not being able to stop doing things that maybe I'm not good at. Isn't that a weird shame?
Yeah.
I just like, I'm in motion now. I'm just going to keep going.
Your inertia just keeps you
pushing
the ball up the hill.
Well, unless I know what something else is to pivot to.
Yeah.
But if I don't know where else to go, I might as well just keep doing this, you know? And that's how we got this podcast. Wow. I got nothing else to do. I'm just kidding, guys. Wow. I got a lot to do, actually.
We're just pushing that ball up the hill, y'all. We're like a Sisyphus for the rest of us. A little Greek mythology for you.
That was good.
What happens in that myth?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Like, I just know it's the myth.
I
of
worship
him.
Jesus.
I think it's
I don't know what you worship, but
you don't worship Sisyphus? Oh, he's a great dude.
No,
I just know there's a. I just know that there's a myth about a guy. I think it's a punishment. Maybe Zeus said you got to push this ball up the hill
for
forever.
eternity or something.
Maybe
it's a tall hill.
There's no way to find out. It's a big hill.
I can tell you.
That's the thing, you know, when they make you run that hill in, you know, football. You know, they say, like, this is the fourth quarter hill. This is why we're going to be strong when the rest of the team's worn out.
Yeah.
We're going to keep running these bleachers and run this hill until... That's wrong. Who was it? Jerry Rice famously had a hill in the back of his property, and he would run. He would train all summer, and that would be his whole, like, that's why I can outrun you.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter.
What if, like, in the fourth quarter, like, they actually made people run a hill? Like,
yeah, they were like, we've changed the field.
Yeah.
We need you to...
Speaking of, the Tennessee-Oklahoma game.
Right.
The field.
Mm-hmm. It looked like my backyard.
Yeah, it hadn't been mowed, and the announcers are making fun of it, and I was thinking...
First of all, when you look at it, take an overview, it looked normal, and then they showed the ground level, and it was all chewed up, and I was like...
Our guys were slipping left and right, and it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
I was like...
People are going to get injured.
I didn't see Oklahoma slip a lot, though. I wonder how they did that.
I wonder if they had, like, they knew, and they have extra cleats. They got the extra long cleats out. Are there rules on that?
I don't know.
We're just making wild accusations about Oklahoma.
It
was a good win to get. It's a good early season win.
It was. It was more stressful.
So we had played a couple of powder puff teams. We played one team that was a questionable record.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma was like, okay.
On the road.
Welcome to the real deal.
In Norman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a lot to prove. We had a lot to prove. We're the ones who proved it, John.
Yeah, we did. And we probably could have won by 2 more touchdowns, but we played very conservative.
If they'd put me in, that's illegal. I don't have any eligibility.
Right. But you're not even enrolled.
I never took the ACT. I don't know what I would have made. Let's just go ahead and say a 30.
That's fine. Is
that okay?
Well, you're a good test taker.
Out of 100.
Yeah.
No, how many? 30 is good, right?
Yeah, 36 is the top.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything in the 30s is generally good.
My 30s were generally good.
Right, you were making 30s.
Generally.
Yeah. What is your prediction for the season, by the way?
Well, I know this is, people don't like this sometimes when we just
No, we're not going long. If you just give a prediction, we could be done with it. I don't know why
I think that we are going to win one of the two big games we have left, which would be Georgia and Alabama. And we're going to make the playoff. I think we're going to make the 12-team playoff.
Do you think that, because you realize if we're one loss, though,
we'll probably have a home playoff game.
We'll have the SEC championship still.
Yeah, that's true. But what if we ended up, here's what I want to know. This is what I want from you. If we get a home playoff game in Neyland, we're going, right?
Yeah.
We got to go. And you know it's not going to be cheap.
No, and that's why you're going to pay for it, because you're doing so well.
Well.
I'm so proud, really. And this has been the moment. I remember when we were younger.
Yeah.
It was 20, 25 years ago, and you were like, you know what, John, someday.
Yeah.
If I make it big.
Right.
And there happens to be a college playoff
and you were
someday,
like, what's that?
I'm buying you a ticket on
What about
50.
the bowl games? Will they be worthless? And I go, John, they are
already
worthless.
They have been for a long, long time. No, I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It is going to be a tough ticket.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too. It's outdoors in January.
Hey.
That's not great.
You know how I do with the cold. Bro,
those metal bleachers. Whew.
I'll be in a full body parka. It'd be a...
Yeah. The snowsuit.
I think, have you, guys, one more thing about this. Just think this scenario out, though.
Okay.
We beat Alabama.
Yeah.
We lose to Georgia. Georgia's undefeated. We're one loss. We meet Georgia in the SEC championship.
Now we get a chance to avenge that loss.
Then we win that game.
Right.
Now we both go to the playoffs.
Sure.
Who do we play in the playoffs? Georgia.
Well, maybe.
We get to the
first
championship
you'd play
game.
You'd be like a 1 seed. You'd probably play an 8 seed or something.
We could, in theory, see Georgia
seed.
3 times this season
if
things went well and lose to one of them. So when would you rather lose?
That's the question I've been asking myself. Yeah.
That's every morning I look at
a
the
lot
mirror.
of people think I'm going to win today. I go, hey, I'm going to lose, but when would you rather lose?
Would you rather lose?
Rather lose right now?
In the morning?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
where do you see yourself in 5 years, son? Do you want to fire me now? Do you want to fire me in 5 years? That's what I say in every job interview I've ever had. Listen, you can fire me right now.
Or we can wait.
Yeah.
And see how this thing goes.
Do you want to waste a drug test on me? That's what I say to the person. I'm not on drugs, dear listener.
He's not anymore. He's after that. After he lost his eligibility over this.
I have a terrible testimony, actually. I've never done anything.
Yeah.
Man, it's just lame.
It is pretty lame.
You ever feel bad about not having a good testimony? Like that it's not interesting?
I think I've known enough people that had the bad testimony.
Oh, okay, all right.
That I see they're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
But when they get off scot-free or whatever, and then everything's great for them, maybe so. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should be.
These people getting off scot-free. I wonder where
they take grace or something. I
wonder what that comes from, that phrase scot-free, getting off scot-free.
It sounds...
I wonder if there was a guy named Scott, maybe?
And he was freed. By the way, guys, I'm kidding. I believe in grace.
Oh, boy. Come on, John. Everybody knows we're joking.
They don't know. What if they're a first-time listener and they're going, what is this?
Yeah.
First, they start off telling us why we shouldn't listen.
They're telling us the Vols are going to make the playoffs.
And they're like, who are the Vols?
Right.
And then they're, yeah.
We saw the video, last thing about the Vols. Morgan Wallen did a show. He did 3 shows at Neyland.
It's crazy.
Sold out Neyland Stadium.
Guys, that's 300,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I can't name one Morgan Wallen song, so I'm way out of the loop.
I know one. Hold on.
Is it something built?
Thinking about me. I don't know what it's called, but it's like when you're out with him, he's thinking about me.
Body like a dirt road or something. Isn't there something like she's built like a dirt road or something?
I don't know. Is that a thing?
There's something like that.
That seems like a disparagement to me.
Body like something about a back road. I don't know what it is.
You're a big country fan.
I think they're saying she's curvy. I don't know what it is. These country,
okay,
they're making like an analogy. Like an analogy.
I don't want to think all the things like
she's rough to be around. She's bumpy.
I don't know.
Well, no. Michael Jr. used to have a bit like that. He would say, I like girls with dimples. Yeah. Only in the front.
She's Michael Jr.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I don't know. But Michael, Morgan Wallen, wasn't he a voice guy? Wasn't he on The Voice? Isn't that how he became in the popular?
I'd like to say that I know nothing about Morgan Wallen except a few songs.
I want to say that he won I want to say that he won a reality show.
Okay,
and then his just like, I could be completely wrong, but I think that's how.
There's no way to know.
I think that's how he became how he started.
He became what he is.
But my brother was so excited to go to that show. He went the other night. He was among the masses and kneeling. But what we were going to say is they had this hype video as he walks out where he kind of hits the thing that says, I'll give my all for Tennessee today, that the players hit on their way out. And somehow he got Peyton Manning to put on his old uniform.
Oh, I saw it.
And walk out.
And he looked just like.
Yeah. Do you think there's any way that uniform was altered? Did you think there was let out? Any of that was let out?
No, man.
He's still in pretty good shape.
It was crazy.
But yeah.
Did you know he went to Gibbs High School?
No.
Yeah. I thought he was from further out in Knoxville, but Gibbs is.
Yeah.
It says he's born in Sneedville.
Okay.
Do you know where that is? You're East Tennessee guy.
The only thing I remember about Sneedville is that we had a public television station, and they would say they were based in Sneedville. They would do the Sneedville, Tennessee, and then they do the testing of the emergency broadcast system or something.
Huh.
It's only a test. They don't do that anymore.
Well, I think that your phone now.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. He auditioned for The Voice season 6 when he was 20. He performed in front of Shakira, Usher, Adam Levine, and Blake Shelton.
All right.
He actually didn't open with a country song back then.
Yeah.
He did Howie Days Collide. And I'm trying to see if he won or not. I don't know. I think he did. Johnny, that's what I'm seeing here. We don't have time to read all of this. But those...
Anyway, 300,000 people, man.
Yeah.
He
did not win. I don't see that he won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's always the people that don't win that end up, other than Kelly Clarkson.
I'm counting on that in my life.
Yeah.
The people who don't win.
Uh-huh.
Somehow. He did not win when he made it to the playoffs.
Some of you are out there, the playoffs.
Yeah.
Some of y'all are out there and you think, listen, I'm not a winner. And I say to you, hey, you could be like Daughtry. You could be like Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson won an Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, she came in 4th on Idol.
Yeah. Well, because the last shall be 4th and the 4th shall be...
Everybody knows that.
Right there in the scriptures.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, you could be Jennifer Hudson if you can really sing well and have a lot of talent.
Yeah, that's all the only difference between me and those guys, I mean, seriously, is the talent.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the personality.
You look like Daughtry if they did one of those, you know, where they do those things where they age the criminal? They go, he may look like this now. You know what I'm saying? Like on America's Most Wanted?
Yeah.
This bank robbery was in 1972.
Right. And they show a picture of me.
Daughtry may look like this now. They use AI to...
Yeah.
I could
be that guy.
You could be Daughtry.
Yeah. Maybe time for me
We're not sure if he can hit the high C above anymore, but he looks haggard. We know that. And this is what he looks like. And it's just you present day.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah. You're like a haggard Daughtry.
You know, that hurts, but it's fair.
Yeah.
I can take it.
Yeah.
I can take it.
I think it's like Daughtry's one of those guys who he embraced the head. He just shaved his head and you embraced yours.
I went for it.
You go.
I mean, it took a few years.
This feels like we should lead into like a commercial and it's going to be for a razor. I wonder if the AI knows what we're talking about when we go to the commercials.
Are they listening right now?
God, I'm waiting with bated breath. Now it's going to be for scope.
Bated breath.
But let's take a moment, John, and let's hear a word from a few of our sponsors.
And we're back, Johnny.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah. It's
yeah, I don't know. Didn't you listen, you texted me a news story yesterday and I thought it was something we should talk about on the show because it kind of blew my mind that technology is going here.
Okay.
Set it up. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was basically about somebody that has ALS and they were given like one of those Neuralink brain chip things.
Yeah,
Isn't Elon developing one of these too, like a Neuralink thing that's going to be like you can control things with your mind now?
Well, I don't know what Elon's doing, but this was in Wired. And it's a brain implant that lets people control Amazon Alexa with their minds. And it's they talk about a guy who has ALS and he already has this implant.
Yeah.
And now he can literally make Alexa do things by just thinking it.
Yeah.
And it's for people with paralysis.
It's unbelievable.
And he could already operate an iPhone, iPad, computer with his thoughts to surf the internet and compose emails. But with Amazon integration, he can now control Alexa with a Fire tablet, turn the lights on and off in his house, watch TV, make video calls, play music, control his Ring security camera, read books on Kindle, and shop on Amazon. Jonnie with his mind.
Wow. Yeah. Part of me is like, because Curry was caregiver for somebody for 12 years who was nonverbal, and she has what's called Rett syndrome. And this is fascinating technology, and I think about that for Tabby, who Curry took care of. But I also think, like, it's such a weird thing to think about what problems it could also... Like, immediately we link it to Amazon. It's just so funny, the idea of, like, packages showing up to your house just because you thought about it.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's a dangerous... You got to get your thoughts under control. You know what I'm saying?
You really do.
If your thoughts are going to like lead to real world, think about it. Because like we have thoughts, and then we go, "I'm not saying that." Like you clear the queue. You go, "Nope, not saying that."
What if you actually send an email with it?
Yeah.
What if you
what if you had a thought?
Oh man!
And every time you had a thought, it started a fight with your wife because it typed it out on an iPad.
Right.
That's not great.
Wow, that's interesting.
Or it ordered 1,200 cases of toilet paper from Amazon because you thought, I wonder if we have enough toilet paper.
Right. I am really interested. I don't know how it works, obviously. Yeah. What with me not being a neuroscientist or
I'm just
surgeon.
Immediately going to the most extreme, silly.
But it's interesting to me, though. Yeah, I wonder what, did they have to, I don't know, almost like I Dream of Jeannie, kind of, is there a thing that they could train themselves to do? Yeah. Right. Interesting.
If you could control your Alexa with your mind as a able-bodied person, would you sign up for that? Or would you be like, you know what? No, I'm good. Because I will say this, we have an Alexa, and there's 4 things I do with it. I can adjust my thermostat. Like if we're already in bed and I realize I've not turned the thermostat down, because we turn it down at night because we get hot. So I turn it down like an extra 2 or 3 degrees at night. Yeah. And then we leave it at like 74 during the day usually. But like at night, we take it down to like 71 or 72. It used to be a lot cooler when I was heavier. We were the fat, heavy, the sweaty people at night. We were like, take it down to 65. I don't care what the bill is. We'd run the fan too.
Right.
But now it's like 72. But I'm saying like, we'll get in bed and I'll be like, I'll be like, Alexa, set the thermostat to 72. Right. As I say that, people's Alexas are going off there listening to the show. Right, and I apologize. I don't know if do they have a default for that? Like if
doesn't it learn your voice?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. You have voice.
I hope I'm not setting off people's Alexas. Okay. But we say that. So we have that. We can set our security alarm with it. Yeah. So if I get in bed, like, I forgot to set the security alarm. I can just use a voice command. We can turn off turn off and on Curry's bedside lamp because we have one of those smart plugs.
Who's got time to reach over and touch a lamp? You know what I'm saying? I get it.
Well, basically, you can't. Once you put it on a smart plug, the switches aren't. You'd be messing with it. So you want to leave it on the smart functioning now.
It doesn't sound smart.
But what I'm saying is I like those. Now I'm kind of used to that capability, or I can ask it what the weather's going to be. Like today I asked it, what's the temperature before when I was getting dressed.
Yeah.
So I am kind of used to those things.
Should you wear this black t-shirt or this black t-shirt?
Exactly. Should I get the thick black or the... Anyway, I don't... So I will say, like, as somebody who thought, I don't want to ever get into a world where technologies were to be... I am kind of like, I like it. But if I could just think it with my mind... Like dim the lights, would I want to do it? Is it worth having someone put an electrode in my brain for it?
Yeah, I don't want to have a surgery. I will say this, though.
I don't want to know what's the long term.
It would be funny. I just had, when you said that, by the way, I saw you in the house with your wife.
Right.
And you're thinking about making things a little romantic.
Yeah.
But you don't say anything.
Yeah.
Well, she's just sitting there. She's reading a book. You're on the couch. All of a sudden the lights dim. And then she looks over at you and you got like this, hey.
Barry White music comes on.
She's like, really? Because you're just thinking it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She's picking up when I'm laying down.
Now she really knows what you meant.
And then then all of a sudden her Neuralink kicks in. Right. The lights go brighter than they were before. And polka music comes on. And I'm like, I don't know what this is about. But
that's great.
Curry's very turned on by polka music.
Oh, she loves it.
Yeah, in our house. In our house, that's when I know it's time. We got a little PG there.
We did. Well,
I apologize.
We is a strong word.
Yeah, that's true. It's my fault. I was being inappropriate. I have inappropriate sense of humor sometimes. I'm working on a new chunk in the show about how I get the church giggles.
Yeah.
And I always have.
Yeah.
in the church giggles I define as like when you grow up in church, you know that that's a place to be very serious. And so it's hard not to laugh when something funny happens in church because you know you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I still have that impish side of myself that wants to laugh at inappropriate things. And somebody told me this story in a show I did in Cincinnati a few months ago. And it was about their church. And so I've started telling it in the show, but they had like a 90-year-old member of their congregation who died. And it was more of a celebration of life than a real funeral. It wasn't real super sad, but it was just like whatever. And they're the kind of church that paints stuff all over their walls. They've got, stuff everywhere, like, kingdom mindset or whatever, right. Community. And it's like all their core values. And so they have all that all over the walls. And they roll out this casket to start the funeral, and they just kind of park it under this spot on the wall. No. And right above it on the wall, it said, "You're right where you belong." Oh, no. And like the person got so tickled, they had to leave the room. Like the person who was just standing in the back watching, and they were like somebody on staff at the church or whatever. And luckily, they weren't like overseeing the. But so it's just such a funny, like, I think I've always had that where I was like, I have a dark sense of humor and like. But I wouldn't laugh at a funeral if it was a really sad occasion. But I'm saying, like, that's one of those things where it's like, you're not supposed to be laughing here.
Yeah.
But like, what the person in the coffin would be laughing if they were here to experience it.
That's when I would.
They're in heaven, laughing from heaven.
Yeah, if I knew that they would find it funny as well, then I'd point it out probably.
Right.
But lighten the mood. And when you do a funeral, it's good to lighten the mood if you can, without being flippant. Yeah. So
that's what's hard because you're a very flippant person.
I am in general. So, hey, John, I think it's about that time.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's the quote of the week, a little segment we call "They Talked About That." Brought it back down. Okay, Johnny, I want you to, hold it together here.
All right.
Okay? It's okay what I'm going to say.
Oh, no. Is this a quote about me?
It's all right.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to say anything political.
Oh, boy.
Okay?
This is going to be incendiary.
This is Alexis de Tocqueville. I just think it's
what now?
Alexis de Tocqueville.
Oh, boy.
So he was around, he's like right after the revolution. He's, early 1800s, I believe, touring the United States. And that's where, he came up. There's a lot of like famous Tocqueville quotes. He's studying American democracy, studying sort of the new country.
Yeah.
And often he had a lot of great things to say. And those things get kind of placed into almost lore a little bit, like there's one quote about, what makes America great is everywhere I've gone, America is good. Mm-hmm. Talking about how good the people are and things, So anyway, but this one's interesting. He says, there are many men of principle in both parties in America, but there is no party of principle.
Okay. Yeah.
There are many men of principle in both parties in America, but there's no party of principle. Again, I'm not being political. I'm giving you a historical quote here, Johnny.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting thing because obviously, you and I were talking off air. I'm as a pastor struggling a little bit because we're so afraid. I have to give all these disclaimers, it feels like, of even the appearance of being political, whatever that means. That I can't even acknowledge an election is happening.
Right. You almost have to act like you're not living in the same world as the people who are your constituents are.
Right. Like we're trying to shepherd people who are like in maybe the most confused time or certain time in a wrong way, right, of their lives. And I think things like this that bring us and we're even afraid to say words like center and middle and all those things, but I think things like this that remind us that back then, and so the parties back then would have been, I forget what year this was.
The Whig.
There would have been somewhere between.
Was there a Whig party?
There was a Whig party, yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere between, Whig would be later in the 19th century, but this is probably what would have been the Federalists versus the Anti-Federalists, and then the Anti-Federalists actually became the Republicans, not the Republicans as you know today. They were actually called the Democratic Republicans, I believe, at first. Yeah. Which is interesting since we have the Democrats and Republicans now. That was the original name of their party. But man, the vitriol that happened then was just as real. And certainly the polemics of it all in the media that they had, which was the newspapers, that I think we've talked about this before, maybe not on the air as much, but like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson were such bitter political rivals that the people who were around them would purchase whole newspapers just to write negative articles about the other side. And at one point, they're serving in the same cabinet under George Washington, one as the Secretary of the Treasury, one as Secretary of State. And I think that they both would have been considered like important leaders, right? But instead of Tocqueville saying, that both parties are parties of principle, he's separating the people from the movement a little bit. And I think that's what's key here.
Yeah.
When we feel that there is I forget where this quote came from, but I think it's so true for just believers. I'm speaking from a Christian standpoint, that I don't think that there should be a moment that I feel completely at home in a political party.
Right, or completely represented.
Right. Like there's not going to be a thing there that, and it reminds me of another quote, a C.S. Lewis quote about theocracy and stuff we can talk about another time. But like, I think that, John Foreman said it best, right? I don't belong here. And there has to be this place of I'm active here and I need to be civically active. These things are important. I encourage everybody to register to vote and to be a part of the civic process. At the same time, I have to recognize that when it begins to feel that my version or my side, quote unquote, of that civic process has all of the values / morality / whatever, and that the other side, no one cares about this country or God or anything else. Because we do. There's a lot of people today who are saying that you could, and on both sides legitimately now, well, because you act that way and you call yourself this political party and you also call yourself a Christian, that can't both be true.
Right.
And then the other side saying, yeah, but you're calling yourself a Christian and look how you're acting, this and that. And so we're literally trying to identify and speculate even or make conclusions about people's status of faith between how they are with God or where they are with Jesus based upon their political party. And I think at some point we have to back up and go, I think Tocqueville is right. It may be, and I think this is always healthy to go, there are people that believe that are diametrically different, right, in the way they see how to benefit the country or whatever. Some of them, I think, maybe dangerously in that respect. And that's how I feel about their viewpoint. At the same time, I would hope that as the civic process was built, it was built upon the idea that I can at least acknowledge that they want the good of the country in some way. And I'm not sure, maybe that changes over time, but back then that was sort of the whole idea. And that I can come to go, hey, there's no party of principle. There's going to be humans in both. There's going to be issues in both. You're not going to find a policy that's going to completely satiate and satisfy every requirement theologically or even democratically. Like there's going to be something you disagree with at some point, and you should, because this is a very nuanced and diverse thing that we're doing here. It always has been. But that helps me back up and go, maybe all my fellow Americans who see the world a little differently than me are not quote unquote enemies.
Yeah.
That George Washington himself would call that's what he warned about. What he warned about in his farewell address was political parties doing that. That you come to a place where you see a fellow American. I'm not quoting him now, but this is the idea. That this partisan idea that makes us not just co-stewards of a country that sees it from different viewpoints, right?
Yeah.
But we see each other instead now as enemies. And those words are being thrown around. And I think those are dangerous words, not just for the state of democracy, but I just think for the state even of our mindset to say, hey, I'm not going to make an enemy of a human in this world. I recognize, this is the Christian viewpoint, I recognize I don't wrestle against flesh and blood. I can be against someone's viewpoint and not against their humanity, right? I can also recognize that I know whom I serve first, and this is a second citizenship, not a first. And so I can be okay saying there's no party of principle. There's principles on both sides you may agree or disagree with, but there's not going to be one that nails it.
Yeah. And
if it does, I think it's time to maybe back up and go, okay, why do I feel at home here? And I don't want to feel too at home in any part of this world to the point that I no longer can acknowledge my higher citizenship being easily. It should not be a close second to that. So that's just my viewpoint of Alexis Tedofil today.
I wonder if any wrestler has ever used that scripture. Because it's always like, I can do all things. You always see athletes, I can do all things. But I wonder if any wrestling coach had to be like, hey, I've noticed that you've been quoting this scripture a lot that says you don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Yeah, you're going to be wrestling against flesh and blood today. We need you to go out there and beat that guy. He's not a principality.
He's not a power.
He's not a ruler of the darkness of this world.
No.
He's just a big dude from the rival school, and we need you to pin him.
Yeah.
Or he's going to pin you.
It's a Christian school.
But coach, I've already wrote it on all my folders.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's a good scripture. It doesn't apply here.
Yeah. You're going to be wrestling against flesh and blood today.
We will see some blood.
He will destroy you.
That's great.
No, I get what you mean. It's a valid point, John. John, let's do my segment. It's called Joke About That. Johnny's old jokes this week. You know, John, I turned of a certain age this year. I became a certain age.
Doesn't matter.
We don't want to talk about it.
No.
But I was thinking today I would look up a couple of when I was your age jokes.
Okay.
And I had never heard these. These are actually pretty good. This one, I have a couple. An old man and a 20-year-old are paired together at a golf tournament. They're playing a long par 5 that doglegs around some tall trees. We need to play golf together more, John.
Ugh.
As the 20-year-old sets up his tee shot to hit onto the fairway, the old man notes, when I was your age, we used to hit over the trees, not around to the side. So the 20-year-old readjusts, tries to hit over the trees, but can't clear them and loses his ball.
I know where this is going.
He tries again, loses that one too. Then the old man says, of course, when I was your age, the trees were only 6 foot tall.
I knew this was coming.
That's great. Never heard that one.
Okay.
It's a great golf joke. Second one. My grandfather says to me, when I was a boy, you could walk into a grocery store with $2 in your pocket and walk out with a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, and even a little butter. He says, but now, these days, too many dang cameras.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, because he stole it, guys. That's why.
I don't know if those jokes would even have appealed to me before I was of a certain age, but now, you know, hey, I probably already have a few when I was your age jokes. You know, I don't call them that, but I do talk about, you know, being a little bit more of a curmudgeon now. I think I have a chunk I'm working on now about like how I enjoy the idea of being able to really speak my mind and get away with it.
Yeah.
Because I see that in Curry's dad.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like really leaning into that idea of like, I can't wait to be 80 and just like tell people what I think. And they'd be like, well, he's 80.
He can't help it.
He'll be gone soon. He doesn't. It's just great. I'm so looking forward to it.
I don't know if I ascribe to the whole, like, I know I'm getting older.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I ascribe to like the acute differences in thinking.
Yeah.
Like, I feel more certain about my uncertainty.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But so I don't know. I think I want to be one of those guys. You ever meet those guys? Like, or read those guys? I love like a Dallas Willard who in his, later years is still writing very, he's very much from a place of awareness, right? Of what's happening in the world. I want to be that guy who's not like, I'm so old now, I just want to get in my chair and tell everybody what's wrong with the world. Like,
sure. Yeah.
I want to be the guy that's like, hey, I'm still thinking. I'm thinking in a young sense, but I have more sense. Come on now. You have
a little more sense
than I did when I was, okay.
You lost your innocence. That's the whole thing.
A whole different
but
thing.
In a sense, you're also... It's fine. All right, John, let's do This Week in History. We call it Talk About Then. A few, John, this week in history. This week, 1970, the TV show The Partridge Family debuted on ABC. Now, listen, I know we do some things that are they skew a little older, but this one is, I think, it's a landmark television show because there's not really been a show quite like it.
Yeah.
It was loosely based on the real-life musical family, the Cowsills. Shirley Jones played the mother, and her real-life stepson, David Cassie, played her son. The reason I liked this show is they'd go through something as a family. They're a singing family.
Yeah.
They tour the country.
Yeah.
And at the end of every show, they sing a song about what they've been going through. Like it's made them creative. They've created something together that bonds them. You don't see a lot of shows like that.
No.
We need more like that.
Yeah.
We need to bring it back.
Was Glee like that? I never really watched it.
Maybe, I guess. And then you had, there was a show called The Heights that had one season on Fox, and it was kind of like They're in a really like on the other side of the tracks kind of town. It was like a Melrose Place, Beverly Hills 90210 spinoff-y kind of thing.
That wasn't like a spinoff of Lin-Manuel Miranda's in the Heights, was it?
No, okay. It was just they lived in this, the bad area of town called the Heights, and so basically they were in this band trying to make it, and so I just remember that they would have a fight or whatever, and then they'd be like, "I got an idea for it," and then they'd write a song. At the end of the episode, they premiere a song, and the show didn't last.
There was a show on Nickelodeon called Bizaardvark.
Yes.
That did some of this a little bit.
But I'm saying the Partridge Family paved the way.
They did.
You're
saying that me and you should start a show like that.
They walked in, nylon leisure suits so that the Heights and the Bizaardvark could run. John, another TV show premiered this week, 1987. Beauty and the Beast. Do you remember the Beauty and the Beast being a phenomenon on television?
I do. Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton. And I just think it's so funny, this idea that women, a beautiful lawyer, would fall in love with a man who lives in the sewer.
Yeah, that's the thing about this one, yeah.
Because she sees his soul. He's this tortured poet who also he looks like a monster, but she can see beyond it.
Yeah.
She could be hanging out with anybody. She's a very successful, beautiful lawyer. But she's like, that guy lives in the sewer. I want to...
This is a lot like my story with Laura.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Which one are you again? I'm kidding around.
Come on now.
Hey, now.
I am obviously
John's in the sewer.
Beast.
And if he ever wants to get out of the sewer, he'll keep saying stuff like that. John, you talked about the newspaper thing. This week, 1690, not 1960, 1690, public occurrences, foreign and domestic, with a K. Public and domestic was spelled with a CK. Mm-hmm. This is how old this paper was. Mm-hmm. It was the first American newspaper. Benjamin Harris of Boston published that. It was the first multi-page newspaper published in British colonial America. It carried an article that offended the royal governor, who then promptly closed down the paper. There were no other newspapers in the colonies until 14 years later. This just kind of shows, and we're kind of seeing this now, where you had some of this happen. There's always been a little bit of adversarial relationship and kind of a dance that happens with political candidates and people in office with the media. But now this demonization of media, or just like choosing to believe whatever narrative supports you, and that's the good news, and then there's the evil mainstream media, whatever's, calls you to account. That's kind of how we live now in this country. If somebody holds you to account, they're like, oh, you can't believe that. They're mainstream media.
Yeah.
You can only believe, I get my news from whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think this proves that that's like, it's been ingrained in us. Like somebody wrote something bad about me, shut it down for 14 years.
Yeah. It's crazy. They didn't have resources like allsides.com, which is great. We'll tell you if it's right, left, or center leaning. Yeah. They didn't have Ad Fontes Media, which is an interactive bias chart.
John, they didn't have the internet then. This was 1690.
I didn't think about that. They didn't have Verify or iVerify.com, which will tell you every day. Like I get this morning, Johnny. It told me, hey, that picture with this political candidate and this person who's in the news right now, that's actually a fake, and we verified it through XYZ.
Man, we need more AI stuff. It's going to get crazy. Yep. John, let's do two more. Finally, two more last ones. 1983. This one's an interesting one. I think we've carried this story a little bit, but I wanted to tell somebody. After saving the world, this person was reprimanded for not correctly documenting the incident.
Oh.
Do you know this story? September 26, 1983, Stanislav Petrov was the duty officer to Soviet early warning system when the Soviet system reported that up to 6 Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles had been launched from the United States. This was just 3 weeks after the Soviet military had shot down a Korean Airlines Flight 007, killing all 269 people aboard, including a U.S. Congressman, Larry McDonald, and many other Americans. So they had reason to believe, like, we're going to retaliate.
Yeah.
There was a Soviet attack. This is 3 weeks after that. Petrov believed it might be a false alarm and disobeyed orders by not reporting the attack to his superiors. He feared that had he reported the attack, his superiors would have launched a retaliatory nuclear strike leading to an all-out nuclear war. Later analysis showed that the detection system had malfunctioned, and it was indeed a false alarm. Petrov, however, was reprimanded for not correctly documenting the incident.
Yeah.
This guy averted World War III on a hunch.
Yeah.
We would not be here having this conversation, probably. The whole country would look different.
I believe this was so I wrote about this in a book recently for someone. One of my lines was like, it may have been Petrov. This guy saved your life and you don't even know his name.
Yeah, you don't even know his name.
And I believe it was the basis of Crimson Tide, the movie.
Okay.
With,
that makes sense.
Gene Hackman and
Denzel.
Alec Baldwin.
No, Denzel. Alec Baldwin was Red October. Denzel
Denzel
was Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Yeah. This idea too of like being patient, like in a world full of alarmists. Literally, he was the opposite of an alarmist. There were alarms going off, and he said, I know what this means. And he took seriously.
Yeah. The outcomes.
Yeah. He wasn't just thinking of himself. He was like, this is going to lead to global annihilation, mutually assured destruction. So let's double check. But I think it's interesting that he still got dressed down about it. He still got yelled at or whatever.
Dude, it reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures. I'm actually using it Sunday. Psalm 37:8. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It only leads to evil. Like, I think there's a real calm, like you're saying, there's a call to patience. Like when you have reasons to be angry, but like refrain or control or delay. Be slow to speak, the scriptures say, right?
Right.
Be quick to listen and slow to anger. Like there's that speed to it. You may have to get there, right? If they were real missiles, you may have to do something, but slow down. If your first inclination is push a button, come on, man. Slow down.
You don't need to be behind. You don't need to be behind that button.
Yeah, we don't need you at the controls. If that's you and you're listening from behind right now, some sort of nuclear launch pad, you should probably get off.
And maybe you perceive this show as a threat.
Yeah,
we want you to go ahead and dial it down a notch.
Yeah, come on, man.
If you could. And people love being told to calm down.
Oh, it's the favorite.
John, finally, this week, 1993, John David Mundy made a 176-foot drop from Niagara Falls in a barrel for the second time. He had also done it in 1985. So he does it in 1985. He lives. And then I guess he goes, you know what?
I'm going to do it again.
8 years later, I'm going to get another barrel. Like, you already have the story.
Did he die this time?
No, I guess I need to look at all it. This is all it had. But I'm assuming he lived.
This is one of those things like...
Most people don't live. Like, there's a lot of people who've gone over Niagara Falls in a barrel or in some device, some flutog or whatever you call it, like a man-made thing. And I'm telling you, it does not go well, generally.
But that was one of those, like, how much is enough for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like winning the lottery and having
well, you said you're not risk averse. You go in, what is it called when you want to take the risks?
Counterphobic.
Counterphobic. But you're not counterphobic enough to be like, I'm really afraid of going over Niagara Falls. No. I have to do it.
No. I'm on a counterphobia is about stopping an imminent thing that you're going to have to do, so you're going to diffuse it now.
Like if you were in a boat that was getting ready to go over Niagara Falls.
Now we're talking. I might jump in a barrel.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
With that guy and be like, well, you've made it twice.
I would try to turn the boat into a barrel somehow that would survive the fall.
Yeah.
I don't
know if there's time for that.
I'm not very good at things.
No.
I don't know if you noticed that.
I don't know if maritime decisions are really your thing. I think you need to stay far, far away from our Navy.
Hey, Captain.
I said good
day,
Can we
sir.
Turn this? Is there any way to turn this aircraft carrier into a barrel? John, I feel like you've got us over a barrel because this show is winding its way to its final resting point at the bottom of the falls. I brought that one up because I'm going to Niagara Falls next week with Curry's dad. So we're going to get to see. I've been looking at all the different things you can do. The Maid of the Mist.
You're trying to push him over the falls in a barrel.
Well, I've already taken him to Grand Canyon and it didn't work. He's like, I go, stand closer to. He's like, no, this is good here. Oh no, you'll get a better selfie if you just.
It sounds just like something you would do.
Yeah. Healthcare is expensive, John.
It got dark.
It did.
Johnny loves his father.
No, we're going to Niagara Falls. Then we're going to do a hot air balloon. Then we're going to do I'm just kidding. Any dangerous thing. Lion taming classes.
Skydiving.
Yeah. Put your head in the lion's mouth, Dad. They said it's cool.
Oh, wow.
It's fun. But anyway, we can't wait. We're excited about our Niagara trip. So I just thought that was interesting. Over the falls twice in a barrel.
Yeah.
Once it would have been
enough. It's the thrill of the fall, as they say.
It is. That's so. Won't that preach?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some of y'all have been falling off a waterfall in a barrel.
Yeah.
You know what? You've lived to tell about it because you're still listening.
That's right. We appreciate our listeners. If you want to become a supporter of the show, go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com. Click that upper right-hand link. That's how you get ad-free content. If you want to send us an email, we love our listeners. hello@talkaboutthatpodcast.com. Just fire off that email. We will get that. John and I both get those emails.
Yeah.
We read them. Sometimes we read them on the show.
Yeah. Also,
just keep them pithy, though. Keep them snappy.
Yeah. No, like real things.
Keep them full of praise, honestly.
Yeah. Like,
We're
we
like
don't
that.
deal well with
we'll
criticism.
shut it down for 14 years like that.
Yeah. That governor, that British governor.
Yeah, we'll do it.
In a heartbeat. Also, JONNIEW.com.
Yeah.
That's Jonnie W for those of you who don't.
A lot of shows coming up. I'm in Green Bay for a couple of shows. October the 4th at a place called Cup of Joy. Very cool. I'm excited about that. There's still tickets available at that one. Get those at JonnieW.com. I will be in Lansing, Michigan this year. I'm doing a show at Zany's Nashville, November the 6th. That's the day after the election. I'm not even going to say that we will have a new president then because we know how our elections
We won't know.
We won't know. No. So just come on out and laugh.
Yeah,
while they finish counting.
Ooh, can I stand up and do the Tocqueville quote?
Yes.
Because that'll be a hoot.
Yeah,
they would
people
love it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying, Johnny.
You do.
We're that unstable.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for being unstable with us, though. It's been a fun ride. Over a waterfall, if you will.
Yeah.
You know?
In a barrel twice.
Let's do it again, Johnny. More than twice. Let's do it again next week on
Talk About That.